Would you believe that a piece of garbage could cost a man his entire career? Harrison stood in the grand lobby of Sovereign Investments. He looked down at the crushed paper cup on the floor. In his hands, he held a cheap plastic broom and a dustpan. He wore a faded blue jumpsuit. His boots were scuffed. To anyone passing by, he was just an old, invisible janitor. But under that cheap fabric beat the heart of a man who built this entire empire from nothing. Harrison was not a janitor. He was the secret billionaire owner of the company. Today, he chose to sweep the floors of his own building. He wanted to see how his employees treated the lowest among them. He expected to find hard work. He expected to find professional pride. Instead, what the arrogant regional manager did to him in the next 10 minutes would break his heart into pieces. It would force Harrison to make a decision that would ruin lives and change the company forever. You will not believe the brutal lesson this billionaire taught his most ruthless executive. Welcome to Veil Tales. Before we reveal the shocking twist of this story, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an amazing tale of justice. And please, drop a comment below letting us know where you are watching this video from. We love connecting with our global family. Now let us begin. The marble floors of the Sovereign Investments headquarters shone like glass. Every surface reflected wealth. The glass walls showed a beautiful view of the city skyline. It was the crown jewel of Harrison's life. He had spent 40 years building this investment firm. He had sacrificed sleep. He had sacrificed his youth. Now, in his late 60s, Harrison was one of the wealthiest men in the country. Yet, he did not feel satisfied. He noticed a dangerous shift in his company's culture. The managers were becoming distant. They were becoming cold. Harrison remembered the early days. He remembered when every worker knew each other's names. He wanted to know if success had ruined his dream. So, he decided to perform a test. He told his personal assistant to stay in the penthouse office. He ordered him to keep his identity a total secret for the day. Harrison went down to the basement. He put on the uniform of a temporary night shift janitor. He picked up a broom. He began to sweep. For the first 2 hours, the experiment was simple. Most employees walked right past him. They did not look at him. They did not say good morning. To them, the old man with the broom was just part of the furniture. Harrison sighed. It was lonely, but it was not cruel. But then the clock struck 9. The elevator doors slid open with a loud chime. Out walked Bradley. Bradley was the newly promoted regional manager. He was 35 years old. He wore a tailored suit that cost thousands of dollars. His hair was slicked back perfectly. He wore a gold watch that flashed under the bright lights. Bradley did not walk through the office. He marched. He looked down his nose at everyone he passed. He was known for his high profits. He was also known for his terrible temper. Harrison watched Bradley walk toward the main reception desk. Bradley was holding an expensive porcelain cup of hot coffee. He was also on his phone. He was loudly bragging to a friend about his new sports car. He was completely blind to the world around him. Harrison decided to sweep near the reception desk. He wanted to see how Bradley treated a low-level worker up close. As Bradley walked past, he did not look down. His expensive leather shoe caught the edge of Harrison's dustpan. The sudden bump made Bradley stumble. A few drops of the hot coffee spilled onto his pristine white shirt sleeve. Bradley stopped dead in his tracks. His face turned bright red. The loud hallway suddenly went completely silent. Every employee in the area froze. They knew what was coming. "Are you completely blind, you old fool?" Bradley screamed. His voice echoed off the high glass walls. Harrison did not get angry. He kept his voice very calm. "I am sorry, sir. I was just cleaning the corner. You were walking quite fast." This answer made Bradley even angrier. "Are you talking back to me? Do you have any idea who I am? Do you know how much this shirt costs? It costs more than your entire monthly salary." "It was an accident, sir," Harrison said softly. He looked directly into Bradley's eyes. He saw no kindness there. He saw only pure arrogance. Bradley looked at the small coffee stain on his sleeve. Then, he looked at Harrison's old face. A cruel smile grew on Bradley's lips. He lifted his porcelain cup. He did not care that people were watching. With a slow, deliberate movement, Bradley tipped the cup over. He poured the remaining hot coffee right onto Harrison's old work boots. The hot liquid soaked through the cheap leather. It burned Harrison's skin. Harrison gasped from the pain. He stepped back. "There," Bradley sneered. "Now you actually have something to clean up. Get on your knees and wipe that off the floor right now." Harrison felt a deep ache in his chest. It was not just the physical burn on his feet. It was his heart breaking. He had built this company on the foundation of respect. He had created jobs to lift people up. Now, he saw that his money was paying the salary of a monster. This man was terrorizing the honest people who kept the building clean. "I asked you to do your job, old man," Bradley barked. He snapped his fingers loudly in Harrison's face. "Or are you too stupid to understand plain English? Get down on your knees. Clean up my mess." Harrison drew himself up to his full height. Even in a dirty jumpsuit, his posture was strong. "Sir, I will clean the floor. That is my duty today. But I will not get on my knees for a man who lacks basic human decency." The entire office gasped. No one had ever spoken to Bradley that way. Bradley's eyes widened in disbelief. He felt humiliated in front of his staff. He stepped closer to Harrison. He pointed a finger directly at the old man's chest. "You are finished. You are done in this building. I am going to make sure you are fired immediately. You will be blacklisted. You will be begging for coins on the street by tonight." Bradley turned to the young receptionist. She was trembling with fear. "Call security right now. Have this garbage thrown out of my sight." Megan hesitated. She looked at Harrison with sad, sympathetic eyes. She knew the old man did not deserve this. "Did you hear me?" Bradley yelled at her. "Call them now. If you don't, I will fire you next." Harrison looked at Megan. He gave her a gentle nod. "It is all right, young lady. You do not need to call anyone. I will go." Harrison carefully leaned his broom against the wall. He picked up his dustpan. He looked at Bradley one last time. His eyes were not filled with anger. They were filled with pity. "Wealth can buy you fine clothes, young man, but it can never buy you a soul." Bradley laughed loudly. "Save your speeches for the soup kitchen, old man. Get out of my building." Harrison turned and walked toward the main exit. His boot made a wet, squelching sound with every step. The coffee was still warm against his skin. He walked out into the cool morning air. He took a deep breath. The test was over. He had seen the truth. The rot inside his company was deep. It was time to cut it out. Harrison walked around the side of the massive skyscraper. He entered through the private executive garage. He took the private elevator straight to the top floor. Inside the penthouse office, his personal assistant was waiting. His name was Simon. Simon had worked for Harrison for 15 years. He looked up and gasped when he saw Harrison's appearance. "Sir, what happened to your boots? Is that coffee?" Simon rushed over with a towel. Harrison held up his hand. "Do not worry about the boots, Simon. Bring me a fresh suit. And call an immediate emergency meeting of the board of directors. I want every regional manager in the boardroom in 20 minutes. Simon saw the cold look in his boss's eyes. He knew someone had made a terrible mistake. "Yes, Mr. Croft. Right away." 10 minutes later, Harrison was transformed. He wore a bespoke charcoal suit. His silver hair was brushed back perfectly. He wore clean, polished leather shoes. The janitor was gone. The billionaire chairman had returned. Downstairs on the investment floor, Bradley was still furious. He had gone to the executive bathroom to wash his sleeve. He was sitting at his desk, drinking a fresh cup of coffee. He was planning how to fire the entire cleaning crew just to prove his power. Suddenly, his desk phone rang. It was the executive secretary. Her voice sounded panicked. "Mr. Bradley, you need to go to the main boardroom on the top floor immediately. The anonymous chairman has just arrived. He has called an emergency meeting." Bradley's heart skipped a beat. The ultimate owner of sovereign investments was a myth to most employees. He rarely showed his face. He ran the empire from the shadows. Bradley knew this was his chance. If he could impress the billionaire, he could get promoted to vice president. "I am on my way," Bradley said proudly. He adjusted his tie. He grabbed his tablet. He hurried to the executive elevator. When Bradley entered the boardroom, the atmosphere was tense. The large mahogany table was surrounded by the top executives of the company. No one was speaking. Everyone was looking down at their papers. At the far end of the table, a high-backed leather chair was turned toward the window. The chairman was looking out at the city. His back was to the room. Bradley took a seat near the front. He smiled at the other managers, trying to look confident. The heavy doors closed. The room became completely silent. Simon, the assistant, stood beside the chairman's chair. He looked at the executives. "Thank you all for coming on such short notice. The chairman has an important announcement regarding the leadership and culture of this company." Bradley raised his hand slightly. He wanted to be noticed. "We are honored to have you here, sir. I want to assure you that under my management, profits are up 12% this quarter. We are running a very clean, disciplined operation here." The leather chair began to rotate slowly. "Are you sure about that, Bradley?" A calm, deep voice asked. Bradley's smile froze. The voice sounded strange. It sounded familiar. The chair turned completely. Harrison looked directly across the long table. He looked straight into Bradley's eyes. Bradley's breath caught in his throat. His blood ran cold. The tablet slipped from his fingers and hit the table with a loud thud. He stared at the face of the billionaire chairman. The features were identical. The sharp eyes were the same. The silver hair was the same. It was the old janitor. "You!" Bradley whispered. His face turned completely white. He looked like he had seen a ghost. "No, that is impossible." The other executives looked at Bradley in confusion. They did not understand why he was terrified. Harrison leaned forward. He placed his hands on the table. "Yes, Bradley. It is me. The old fool. The garbage. The man you told to get on his knees. Sir, I did not know," Bradley stammered. He stood up so fast his chair flew backward. His hands were shaking violently. "It was a misunderstanding. I had a very stressful morning. The coffee. It was hot. I lost my temper. I am so sorry." Harrison did not yell. His voice remained ice cold. That made it much more terrifying. "You did not know who I was," Harrison said softly. "And that is the exact problem, Bradley. If you knew I was the billionaire owner, you would have kissed my shoes. But because you thought I was just a poor old man sweeping your floor, you felt you had the right to abuse me. You felt you had the right to burn my feet and humiliate me." The other board members looked at each other in shock. Simon quickly explained what had happened in the lobby. He told them how Bradley had poured hot coffee on the chairman's boots. The board members looked at Bradley with absolute disgust. "Sir, please," Bradley begged. He walked to the edge of the table. He looked like he was about to cry. "I have given 5 years of my life to this company. I made you millions of dollars. You cannot let one small mistake ruin my career." "A mistake is dropping a cup, Bradley," Harrison said. He stood up. He walked slowly down the side of the long table. "What you did was not a mistake. It was a reflection of your soul. You think your high salary makes you better than the people who clean up after you. You think money gives you the right to strip away another human being's dignity." Harrison stopped just 2 feet away from Bradley. He looked down at the younger man. "I built this company to create a legacy of honor," Harrison said. "I did not build it to fund the lifestyle of a bully. You told me this morning that I was finished in this building. You were wrong about my job. But you were completely right about yours." Harrison turned to his assistant. "Simon, cancel Bradley's contract immediately. He is fired. Effective right now." "Yes, Mr. Croft," Simon replied. Bradley felt his entire world collapse. "You can't do this. I have a reputation. I have bills to pay." "You will leave this building immediately," Harrison said. "And do not bother asking for a recommendation letter. I will personally ensure that every major firm in the city knows exactly why you were let go. You wanted to blacklist a janitor. Instead, you have blacklisted yourself." Bradley realized there was no mercy left in the room. He looked at the other executives, but they all turned their heads away. He had no friends here. He had only subordinates who feared him. Now he had nothing. With his head bowed in shame, Bradley slowly walked out of the boardroom. His confident stride was completely gone. He looked small. He looked broken. Harrison watched the doors close behind him. He took a deep breath. He turned to the remaining executives. "Let this be a lesson to everyone in this room," Harrison said. "I do not care how much profit you bring to this company. If I ever hear of any manager treating a lower-level employee with disrespect, you will be gone before the day ends. We respect everyone here, from the vice presidents to the people who sweep the floors." The executives all nodded quickly. They understood the message clearly. Harrison then left the boardroom. He took the elevator back down to the ground floor. He walked into the lobby. The young receptionist was still at her desk. She looked worried. She thought Harrison had been thrown out by security earlier. When she saw him walking out of the executive elevator in a flawless suit, accompanied by the assistant to the chairman, her mouth fell open. Harrison walked over to her desk. He gave her a warm, gentle smile. "What is your name, young lady?" Harrison asked. "Megan, sir," she whispered, completely starstruck. "Well, Megan, thank you for showing kindness to an old janitor this morning. This company needs more people like you." Harrison looked at Simon. "Megan is now the head of guest relations for this entire lobby. Double her salary effective today." Megan's eyes filled with tears of joy. "Thank you, sir. Thank you so much." Harrison smiled. He looked down at the clean marble floor. The coffee stain was gone. The building was beautiful again. He walked out of the front doors and into the sunshine. He knew his heart was still a little broken by what he had seen, but he felt at peace. He had cleaned the garbage out of his company. He had proven that true wealth is not found in a bank account. True wealth is found in how we treat one another.